Alright, guys. Alright, so I'm sure all of you have seen the news already. It's just came out about 3 hours or so ago. So basically what had happened was the United States attacked the Syrian Arab army and the let me look here. Let's look at the details here. So according to the details, this is coming from Syrian state media, which is Alma News. This is where I usually pull direct sources from the Syrian Arab army. Sorry, tongue twister. The U.S. coalition attacked the Syrian military convoy traveling through the southeastern countryside of Hom's governorate today, the Pentagon reported. And the funny thing is that they reported this through BuzzFeed. That's the first one that reported on it, strangely enough. Then we had followed up by Fox and CNN. So the Pentagon claimed that the Syrian military convoy was heading towards their positions when they decided to issue a warning that was ignored. So the coalition was attack the convoy. It's kind of a weird wording there, but anyway, the U.S. This is their little bullet points here. The U.S. coalition warplane entered Syrian airspace from the Jordan border. A convoy of 5 T-62 tanks were hit by the coalition. At least 2 of them were destroyed, as well as a Shilka. So that's like an armor 50 cal truck. That's essentially what that is. 6 military personnel were killed and another 3 were wounded. The convoy consisted of soldiers from the Syrian Arab Army and the National Defense Forces, Hezbollah, and the Imam al-Ali battalions. So this is what they're essentially saying right now. Let's go look at the map. So this area right here, this is where the coalition has been pushing their proxy forces to head towards Deir ez-Zor, because they want to cut off that area. They want to balkanize this area, because right now they're forcing all of ISIS out of Raqqa. This is what they're doing here. They're forcing them out of Raqqa, and at the same time they're forcing them out of Mosul. So they're trying to squeeze all of these ISIS proxy fighters into the Deir ez-Zor province here, so they can force these last holdout soldiers out of Deir ez-Zor. So in response to that, as we mentioned in our last video, the SAA started its advance here in the just south of Palmyra in the desert here. And that was to counteract their major push from the Jordanian border. And we have seen recently that the U.S. has been building up their forces on the Jordanian border. They filled up these military bases. We've seen footage of that. And their advance has been relatively fast. So again, as soon as the SAA starts building up their forces here and they start counteracting this push, we have airstrikes by the U.S. coalition. One of the craziest things about this, though, is what the actual general said in response, and I'm going to read it and then I'm going to give you my opinion on it, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. Alright, so a U.S. defense official told Sputnik that the U.S.-led coalition struck the Syrian army near the town of At-Tanaf, in the area of an established deconfliction zone with Russia. That's the deconfliction zone that was not set up by the United States, that was not set up by the coalition forces. It was set up by Russia, it was set up by Syria, Iran, and Turkey. The United States had nothing to do with it. So earlier in the day, again, BuzzFeed News BuzzFeed's the first one reporting on this. This is crazy. Reported that the U.S. coalition spokesman had confirmed that the coalition strikes in southern Syria struck Syrian government and armed forces. The coalition strikes reportedly occurred. Oh, this is just repeating the same thing. But this is what the U.S. official said. The strike did happen. It was against pro-regime forces operating in the vicinity of At-Tanaf. The regime forces were operating within a well-established deconfliction zone. Again, that were not established by the coalition. And you know who is in charge of monitoring these deconfliction zones? Yes, that is Russia, Iran, Syria, Turkey, not the coalition. Coalition has nothing to do with this area. So we're gonna have to see what happens from this point on, because this is actually a war crime, even in the eyes of the UN. So we're gonna have to see the response. Again, this just happened a few hours ago. So the defense official added that the U.S. coalition commander considered the Syrian army as a threat. The ones that are supposed to be monitoring this area are a threat, apparently. So A commander on the ground perceived this force to be a threat, the coalition forces said. Yeah, this is again reported by BuzzFeed. It is unclear yet whether the strikes have killed any. Well, actually, it's pretty clear that it's killed at least 6 so far. But the way that Fox is reporting on this, the U.S. airstrikes pound pro-Assad forces in Syria. The U.S. military launched a fresh airstrike against the so the way that Fox is twisting it is that it's a fresh strike. So they're like, yeah, we're pounding Syria. Yeah, we're breaking international law. We have these deconfliction zones, and we have the people that are there to actually monitor the situation. And this is literally, you have invasion armies sitting on Syrian territory, and they perceive the Syrians as threats. They see the Syrian army coming to the deconfliction zone that they set up with their allies, not with the coalition forces, and they're like, oh, we perceive that as a threat. Well, the real thing is, they perceive this as a threat. They perceive cutting off their forces and pushing all the way to the Jordanian border so they can no longer push towards Deir ez-Zor. That's the real threat. They didn't perceive them as a threat to the deconfliction zone at all. That's not the truth. And another thing is that these that they're protecting in the deconfliction zone are connected with Al-Qaeda, they're connected with ISIS, they're connected with all these different terrorist groups as well. So according to the deconfliction zone, the Syrian Arab Army and its allies have full rights to attack these terrorists. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm just reading a few comments here. Yeah, you're totally right. U.S. policy never changes. It's the same. Conflict, resolution, solution. Here we go. Alright, so going back to what Fox was saying here. There was something else that the commander had said. This is according to, yeah, the coalition commander. The coalition commander assessed the threat and after shows of force did not stop the regime. So flying these F-16 jets over a no-fly zone was their show of force. By breaking international law, again, these deconfliction zones are set up by the UN, Russia, Iran, Syria, Turkey, and not the coalition forces. Yet they're going out of their way to try to provoke something because they don't want to lose these territories here. They do not want to lose this territory. Because as soon as Syria regains control of this area, balkanizing Syria is going to be next to impossible without, starting a full-on conflict that involves a full ground force of United States forces on the ground and so on and so forth. But yes, this push is driving them absolutely insane. So the forces refused to move out of the deconfliction zone. So they're saying that they were in the deconfliction zone, but as some of you noted, there's been no proof that they were even in the confliction zone yet. Because as we look at the map here, they're saying that they were all the way here. Now, I don't doubt that that's the goal, but there's absolutely no proof that's been provided as of yet. And this has just happened. Sorry, my throat is getting a little caught up here. So reading on here, another military source told the Associated Press it appeared that the Syrian forces were poised to attack an area. So even here in their article, it was saying that they were poised to attack. That means that they hadn't attacked yet. Excuse me, I'm getting some water here. But they were poised to attack. So if you actually pay attention to the wording, they're saying that they hadn't attacked. They hadn't went into the deconfliction zone. So they were building a fighting position about 55 kilometers from a U.S. coalition base close to Antana. So again to these wordings, they were building a fighting position about 55 kilometers away. So this is a preemptive strike. That's exactly what they're saying within their wording. It's a preemptive strike. It's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing what they can do and get away with. Now, I'm interested to actually see what Russia's response is going to be to this. I'm shocked that they didn't get shot down. Now, last we heard is that they were still working out the details of the deconfliction zone, so we don't know if there was some kind of other deal that was put in place that says you can fly in limited times over this area with permission or this or that. But as far as we know right now, that's illegal. Until we get further details from Russia, Iran, or Syria, we don't know. It's still illegal as last as we know here. So they go on to say, oh, this is actually Defense Secretary James Mattis. So this is Mad Dog, Israeli ass kissing, Saudi Arabian ass kissing. The ones that say Saudi Arabia is the greatest fighters against terrorism in the Middle East. James Mattis briefly addressed the strikes Thursday. We're not increasing our role in Syria, the Syrian civil war. It's not a civil war, it's a proxy war against the Syrian government to remove Bashar al-Assad from power, to promote the Greater Israel Project, and as well as the oil and Golan Heights. This is to keep the Syria from being able to ever want their land back. This is occupied Syrian lands. And there is oil in these occupied Syrian lands, and there's actually companies that have been set up specifically there with people like Dick Cheney and Rothschilds that go and pull the oil out of this Syrian land. This is Syrians' resources. This is the Syrian people's resources. This isn't Israel's. They are leeching off the people here. So even if they don't end up gaining more land here in their Greater Israel Project, they're going to continue to keep the pressure off of the Golan Heights. Because if you have a weak Syria, you have a balkanized Syria, they're not going to be able to put up a proper defense. And again, we have ISIS here that's been right there on the territory since day one. And they have not attacked only once, supposedly, one time. But we have also seen them supporting them in the Golan Heights and taking in Al Qaeda and sending them back sending them back into the fight. And we know this because there was protesters there that were protesting them doing medical procedures to help Al Qaeda and ISIS. So yeah, again, you cannot negate Israel's land grab here. It's the main player in all of this. Yes, you have the United States, you have Turkey, you have Saudi Arabia, but again, they're just used for their manpower, they're just used for their military strength, and they're just used to be proxies. That's all it is. Because this is not we're not talking about land grabs in Mexico or here or there or gaining port access here for the United States. The United States has nothing to gain here. The only one that has something to gain here is Israel, who has a long-standing want for the Levant. They want the Levant. This is the Levant, this area here, the most rich area in the Middle East. You have all major ports go through here. All land access ports have to go through here in some form or fashion, as well as the air zones, as well as the highest amount of oil and natural gas in the entire region. And then in Afghanistan, you have what is that, lithium or tungsten? Yeah, I think it's lithium as well. And every major product in the world has lithium. That's why it's not about some Taliban in Afghanistan. It's about the natural resources. This is while we're on the topic, this is why we had such an issue with Brendan O'Connell. If you've seen our recent video, we actually had a long heated discussion with Brendan O'Connell that tried to state that no, it's not about land grabs, it's not about natural resources, it's about occult mysticism, it's about just the crazy Jews, which there are those crazy Jews that believe in the occult mysticism, but there is a monetary gain there to be had. There's these natural resources. You can control all the trade. You can control all the air traffic. You can control all the natural resources. You can control the world. Why do you think the Rothschilds have been dumping their money? If you go look at their wealth has been declining. This is the same with most royals around the world. Their monetary wealth has been slowly declining over the past few decades. That's because they've been dumping their assets and buying up parts of the Levant. If you go look at Trump's administration, how many people in the administration have bought pieces of occupied Palestine? Go look that up. That's a research topic there for you. So again, getting it back on topic, why is the United States attacking Syria as they try to prevent the Balkanization and weakening of Syria? That's simple. That's because Israel wants this land. Israel wants its natural resources, and Israel does not want a strong ally with Iran, Syria, Iraq, and Russia as well. They don't want this. That is their thorn in their side. To say that that's not a part of it is absolutely insane. So that was my issue with Brendan O'Connell. Yet he tries to point out Operation Talpiot, which we don't even have proof that an Operation Talpiot exists. Go check out our video that we just recently did on that. So anyway, getting back on topic here. We were last reading what James Mattis had to say. Yeah, so Mattis said, we're not increasing our role in the Syrian civil war, but we did. Again, it's not a civil war, but we will defend our troops. So they were saying that having Syria setting up defensive measures 55 kilometers away. If we go back up here and read, 55 kilometers away from At-Tafah was them about to attack. So it's again that George Bush preemptive strike. It's that preemptive strike mentality. It's absolutely insane. The United States acts with complete impunity for Israel. That's what it is. Take another sip of water. I will do that. But yeah. My throat getting a little dry here from getting on a rant. It's insane. It's absolutely insane how many times that the US can just commit these war crimes and nobody says anything. Nobody says anything except, a handful of us. We got to get angry about it. It's not about yelling about an Operation Talpiot that we can't even prove exists. If it does exist, you bet your ass I'm going to be spending countless hours pointing it out. Now, there are high technology sectors. Yes, Israel does have its fingers in the high technology sector. Yes, it has its people in every creep and cranny of natural industry. It has its people in the media. It has its people in government. It has it everywhere. I'm not denying that. But the fact of the matter is, if you can't prove that this very specific, he makes it very clear that it's specifically an Operation Talpiot. But if you can't prove that, you can just be easily discredited, no matter how much you believe what you're saying. If you can't prove what you're saying, you can just be discredited and you're not helping us at all. You're not doing anything to help us. So here, the U.S. and Russia, which is allied with the pro-Assad forces, have established a buffer zone around the separate area. Yeah. This is just talking about the buffer zone. So on and so forth. So I just wanted to see what else they had to say here. Recently, the... Actually, let me go pull it. I think I have it saved here for read later. I can talk about it now. We also have, here we have Trump setting to visit Saudi Arabia again. It's like, yeah, let's get as close as possible to the terrorists as possible. And there was one about, yeah, the U.S. accuses... this is old news. This is old fake news. The U.S. accuses Syria of killing thousands of prisoners and burning dead bodies outside of Damascus. This is going back to the Sidonia prison bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. And let me actually go back to YouTube. Back to our channel. And yeah, about the Sidonia prisons, we've already debunked this. It's already been completely debunked. It's yeah, here, the 13,000 hanged. If you want to know about these accusations of Syria killing thousands of prisoners and burning dead bodies outside of Damascus, go watch this video about the 13,000 hanged in Syria government, where we actually go look at the Amnesty International report, someone who has been proven a liar, straight up hardcore liars. It's just absolutely insane, again. So, yeah, the last thing we had to look at here is Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia and the United States will sign a number of political agreements and major contracts during the upcoming visit of the United States President Donald Trump to Riyadh, scheduled for May 20th, 21. Oh, I'm not sure what that date's supposed to mean, but okay. It's kind of like a... Oh, okay. It's talking about the 20th and the 21st. I'm like, 2021, that's kind of thinking of down the road there, isn't it? No, but no, I was just reading it wrong. Let's see here. This is a top-level meeting. We will have a positive effect, and a number of political agreements and the major contracts are expected to be signed. So we do know that Saudi Arabia, United States, and Israel have something planned to have a coalition against Iran. Now, I don't have the news article with me. It's somewhere in my saved articles, and I have a video on it specifically. But we talked about how the goal is Iran, because Iran is like the last goal. Even within Wesley Clark mentions the seven countries. Iran was the last one, because Iran is the last holdout as far as people that are against the Zionist agenda in the Middle East. It's the last one that has not been torn apart by not civil war, but proxy wars that they claim to be civil wars, including Libya, and even these smaller countries have been torn apart as well. But yeah, I'm gonna actually go back and read some of these comments, because I can't talk and look at the comments at the same time here. So, all right. Has hopefully everything's been going good and it hasn't been looping, because I know the first time I tried to test it, it kept looping over and over and over and over. Okay, Top Yacht having an oversight of unit 18,000. I don't know where you keep getting this 18,000, but that does not have anything to do with an Operation Top Yacht. I think you're referencing the Top Yacht program, which is a program where the IDF goes and finds special forces within its own military, which equates to around 30 to 40 members a year. If 30 to 40 members a year is enough to do a global operation, said Operation Talpiot, then we're in deep trouble. But as far as we know, there's no solid evidence for that. Alright, guys. I think this is going to be all for now. Continue to keep your eyes open. And as always, this has been Tyranny Unmasked.